Your thoughts?
What? What? Who?
Nice.
It is 9:01 on this Monday morning. What a weird one, huh? We got Mayor Morrow in the studio along with Warren Gohl. Good morning to both of you guys. Did you survive the monsoon?
We did.
How are you doing over there, Warren?
Well, good morning. Yeah, it's a beautiful sunny morning here in the Midwest, and ready to rock and roll.
I'm telling you what, though, I almost needed a rowboat to get down to the studio today, you know?
It came down in buckets.
Well, you know, this is really cool. I'm so excited to talk about, really just to have you guys in studio and talk about your presentation that you just had at Hayner Library, which I heard was one of the most attended events that they've had in quite some time.
Yes.
And a lot of people had great feedback. Warren, how are you feeling right off the bat from that event with so many people interested to hear what you were presenting?
I am so encouraged in the heart that I was looking at an audience and I say, this is America. These are wonderful, wonderful people. And I said, doggone it, I live in Mexico now 5 years. And I said, my country's just, God, it's struggling. But I always felt, and I always will, that we have a lot of doggone good people in our country.
Yes.
Good, solid human beings who love their family, their community, their country, and they believe in the basic values of hard work and strength and reward and respect for each other. And I said, we're going to make it, because I'm looking at these people. We're going to make it. I can feel that power.
Well, and on top of that too, Warren, and what a great testimonial from that, because you're right, all the major 4 or 5 news stations always create the static, but throughout the country, we have just neighbors that are ready to band together and keep that American dream going. And Warren, if you could, for our audience that maybe is just getting to know everybody in the room a little bit more, take us through your background. You've had quite a great career.
Well, it's been a long life. It was long. I'm going to keep it going.
Yes.
Let me introduce myself in the American Indian way. My name is Warren Gohl. I am maternally descended from Comstock, Seneca Cayuga tribes of Little Sandusky, Ohio. The people were relocated from their homes by Treaty of Sandusky, 1831, to the lands west of the Mississippi called Indian Territory. There's an old term for that area. It's called Uglauma, a Creek word, I understand, that means blood earth, which is now Oklahoma.
Wow.
That's history.
That's real. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Well, and Mayor Morrow,
Yes.
you know, take me through this. You know, to have Warren a part of everything that you guys are doing down at the National Memorial of Military Ascent. This has got to just really bring this to another fold of just the prowess that this memorial brings.
It does. Everything that we've been talking about, we've always had what we needed when we needed it. Mm-hmm. And it was last September that I met Warren, and we were up in Minnesota. We were with the MRCTI, the Mississippi Rivers, Cities, and Towns Initiative, and they were doing an event signing up, a treaty signing up in the Minnesota headwaters at their annual event. So as the mayor, there's 103 mayors up and down the Mississippi River from Minnesota all the way to New Orleans that belong to this organization, Grafton being one of them. So I represented Grafton and went up to the headwaters of the Mississippi. And we were getting ready to do the event on a reservation. And as I'm walking down the hallway, it was late. I was late for dinner, wasn't I, Warren? And it was we had a busy day, and I didn't know who he was or anything. As I'm walking down the hallway to get to dinner, I've got my head down and I'm moving. and there's somebody blocking my way. And it was this gentleman right here, and he's in his regalia, his Native American regalia and so forth. So I start to go around him, and a little voice told me, he said, "Don't do that. Just say hi." So I said, "Hi, how you doing?" And then that sparked Warren to notice that I was wearing my Bronze Star pin. And he said, "You have the Bronze Star?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I do too." And at that point, we became instant friends, and we went to dinner, and we spent about 3 hours. Together,
Oh, wow.
Just talking about this memorial, talking about that. And at the end of the dinner, I asked him if he would consider being the chaplain for our organization, our 501c3, and our commission, and he readily accepted, and we're ever so grateful. And we've been here for a week now, 2 or 3 events a day. This is the first one for here today. We've got another one after this, but we've been talking about the memorial, talking about the Native American contribution that in this area that Warren has been bringing out.
Well, and I really wanted to hit on that too, because when my generation thinks of World War II from our history books in middle school and high school, or maybe even some of the documentaries, I learned so much just from your brief presentation at the North Alton Godfrey Business Council about code talkers. I had no idea of the importance and the contributions that Native Americans brought to our battlefields and to us in general. And Warren, does it surprise you the amount of folks that maybe are just learning about this for truly the first time? Does that surprise you at all?
No, it hasn't. During my travels, the United States, lifelong, and around the world, there's a lot of mythology about the United States, and people say it's a great country, but it's really got a lot of problems, okay?
Right.
And I thought that was kind of unfair in that regard. All countries have a lot of problems.
True.
Some years ago, I was addressing the medical graduating students, University of Washington, on American Indian veterans and American Indian health and so forth for the doctors who were graduating, because some are going to be on a reservation for 4 years to pay back their loans, student loans. And somebody brought up a point, well, it's really hard getting around these days, what do we do? There's always all these problems and this and that. And I said, the world's always been a mess, and it's not likely to change.
Right.
But if we all get together in common heart and common mind and take care of one another, we're going to be okay. And I still believe that.
100%, Warren.
And the doomsdayers saying we have to go to war and this and that in our own country, and just for why? We can make it. We can do it.
Right.
We've got all the tools. We've got all the people. We've got lots of good hearts. So this I've been using that feeling and looking at the National Memorial of Military Ascent and saying, this is a vehicle to honor courage, sacrifice, so people can be proud of the families can be proud. Yeah, my grandfather was World War II, blah, 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 and teach the kids, hey, this is what it's all about. We just didn't pop out of the womb and into the community.
Right.
We have a history, for crying out loud. Let's teach that history, right or wrong. Let's just say this is what we are.
You're right, 100%, Warren. And Mayor Morrow, on top of that, too, to really tie in those contributions of Native Americans, the code talkers, into the National Memorial of Military Ascent, how important was it to do it in a way that truly brought out all of those nuances, those X factors that maybe someone who's never gone to war, that's never even really thought about it, can understand?
I learned something even today, every day, about World War II. About the sacrifices and so forth, the industrial might, the sacrifices of the families, scrap drives and so forth. But it's the thing that as we go forward with, Warren has brought to the table the Native American contribution.
Yeah.
But our memorial in 501c3 is set for everyone. And our 3 pillars on the foundation are to honor, to remember, and to educate. And as we talked earlier, it's not just the American children that don't understand, but the Native American community also needs to understand the significance of the contribution of those tribes during World War II. And actually, I learned it started before World War II. Actually, the first Medal of Honor was given to a Native code talker in World War I.
Right. Wow. This gentleman, a young man, I think 19, 20 years old, Lakota, His name was Albert Grass. He died just a few months before World War I ended. He was a code talker. The Lakota were very highly represented in World War I code talking activities. And he was killed in a contact with the enemy on a road called Soissons-Paris Road in France. I think it was October 1918, very near the end of the war.
Yep.
And for his action, he was given the Medal of Honor, awarded the Medal of Honor.
Wow.
And he's just a silent, quiet hero.
Yes.
But it's just one of many stories. You're speaking of not having the history
Yeah.
available, presented. Well, here I am, 83 years old. Just recently, I learned that I had an uncle in combat engineers at Normandy. They followed on at Normandy and went on the road to Berlin and conquering and destruction of the German military and all that.
Wow.
He had actually hid out for 2 weeks. After his unit was in contact, he got separated. He hid out in a farmhouse, and the French people, fed him and kept him secret, hidden away from the Germans.
Wow.
Now, I just learned that from another relative. Saying, yeah, he's got a name, a museum of honor, blah blah blah. And then I had an uncle who flew a P-51 fighter over Normandy and close support of the ground troops, protecting them from the Germans, and he spent 14 hours during D-Day in his aircraft. And when he flew back to England at night, out of fuel and all that, he couldn't even get out of the cockpit. He had been in a little cramped compartment for 14 hours. He was just frozen. And I know him, and unfortunately, he suffered a tremendous amount of negative experiences, and his life was very much marred by the memories of death and destruction and so forth. Not anti-American, but war.
Right.
War. We have to learn to divorce a war from the country.
100%.
Absolutely. We have to defend ourselves, but to save the country, we have to hurt people. And that's unfortunate, but that's nature. Nature way to establish the equilibrium and so forth.
Well, and it's been that way since it seems like Don was around, And Warren, I wanted to ask you, as we're kind of diving in here, and now that we're getting warmed up and 13 minutes in here now to the conversation, for the folks that maybe haven't picked up the last recent article from RiverBender or were at your presentations, could you share with us a brief overview of what the Code Talkers did and their significance, especially during World War II?
Sure.
Well, Code Talkers have a very distinctive history. I've known Code Talkers personally as a member of the Muckleshoot Tribe of Washington's organization known as the Intertribal Warrior Society Honor Guard, and we got around quite a bit as an honor guard, American Indian, up in the Pacific Northwest. Wow. So between the years of 2001 to 2019, I was a member of that, and I was a chaplain for many, many years. And we were responsible to provide military honors for deceased veterans and their families at the National Cemetery in Covington, Veterans Cemetery outside of Seattle. And during that period of time, we had almost 4,000 services. We were very busy up there.
Wow.
And I personally officiated at about 2,500 funerals. And I got to know the families and see every service was unique. And this is a long way to get to the Code Talkers. But some of our duties were to travel to various Indian reservations and so forth to conduct ceremonies related to veterans and whatnot. And we had the honor of being able to go to the Chehalis Indian Reservation south of Olympia, where every year they hosted Code Talkers for the November Veterans Day. And we had quite a big gathering. So I personally was able to talk to Code Talkers, even though, and they had a lot of humor, a lot of GI type humor, a lot of grins, a lot of smiles. If you say something, they kind of grunt a little bit and grin, they're just good people. But unfortunately, they've all walked on.
Yeah.
But I did have that personal contact with them. But I never envisioned or thought that I'd have a relationship with a national memorial that was going to be highlighting their behaviors, their heroic behaviors. And code talkers were used in a major way by commands in World War I, Europe, to decode, encode intelligence information that could be passed, or military commands that could be passed from higher to lower, so to speak, a general down to his troops on the ground in contact.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay. And it was a protected way of keeping that information from being intercepted by the enemy over radio wave.
Wow.
Okay. In those days, radios were a straight shot, a signal, and they could be, intercepted, received anywhere in the world. You couldn't control that. So what you had to do is encode the content of the message so the enemy couldn't read it. All you heard was words and didn't know what they meant.
Mm-hmm.
That was the essence. And it was classified information of a very high level because it was military orders, battle orders.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did a tremendous job in denying this information to the enemy and gave us an opportunity to gain superiority.
Do you know how the idea of using Native Americans and that language as code for some of these, for this type of work, was there a reason for that, or was this something that was just kind of developed out of a happenstance?
American Indians and the U.S. military have a long relationship, adversarial in some cases, but one of cooperation for common purpose, common goals, and so forth. And using Indians as interpreters was an established procedure, militarily, scouts and so forth. I kind of have to laugh sometimes. I said, I kind of wonder if the code talkers didn't originate when Indians used to communicate from high elevations with fires and smoke, and they had their own particular language.
Yeah.
If somehow it just didn't get connected with that in the very beginning. When there are scouts, they were asked, can you contact such and such or get a message to such and such tribe that we're coming or so? They said, sure, we'll go up in the hill. And because those hills were maintained 24 hours a day.
Right.
All through.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. That is so fascinating to me. And so, is there a reason why the connection was not made that quickly? To go from point A to to really
Well,
get.
It's a slow evolution over decades. And eventually, American Indians became part of the armed forces of the United States legitimately, and some of them rose to high rank. For instance, the Civil War, the first American Indian representation in the regular army of the United States was with the Iroquois people of Northeast New York. So, and they formed a full regiment of Iroquois soldiers who were part of a commissioned force recognized as regular Army of the United States under the command of I believe his name is Eli Parker, a Seneca Indian. And they were responsible for neutralizing Confederate forces in Oklahoma, Kansas, and securing that area for the federal government against the Confederacy.
Just incredible.
And it was an Indian battle. The commanders were regular Army, of course, and the soldiers were Iroquois, but they were opposing a force of Confederates who, in that area at that time, were primarily American Indian supported.
That's incredible.
So
I mean, that's
Indian
truly
versus
incredible.
Indian conflict in the Civil War representing the North and the South, and the North with the Iroquois prevailed and safeguarded that territory for the federal government.
Is there a reason, Warren, that, because to me, as somebody who, young enough to still remember, some of my history lessons, is there a reason that we don't really hear too much about those contributions that are made when it comes to the grand scheme of just our social studies and our American story?
I can't answer that. Perhaps it's because people thought, well, it's just not acceptable to read or won't be,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's an awful deep topic.
Yeah. It is.
Just for somebody's interested, there's a book called Iroquois, and the Civil War. That's the simple title of it. It's incredible. It gives you the socioeconomic, cultural struggles of the Indian people in the Civil War, and it was such effect. Even allies, Indian allies of the northern government, the federal government, the winners, the victors, were punished because they were living in areas where the Confederacy had control and are considered to be less than dependable, and some of them actually had their treaties abrogated.
Wow.
Because of that, so tremendous outcomes.
Well, and Warren, as we're just getting back into the code talkers, what was the training process like for individuals that were being a part of our armed forces and utilizing that code? What was the training process like?
It's really hard for me to say that. I mean, I can take it from some of the comments the guides made. They came from rural areas, isolated areas, poor, farmers and so forth, and all of a sudden, their transportation was horse or wagon of some kind, and all of a sudden they're in a modern contemporary world, faced with modern contemporary challenges that they couldn't ride a bus. They didn't know how.
Right.
Think about it. Or go to a grocery store.
Right.
And what's a checkout stand? What do you do? Oh, you put your groceries here, and they count it up, and then you pay. Well, okay. Well, I mean, this is all new stuff. How do you use a telephone booth? Think about it. If you've never seen it, never used it.
I don't even think I know how to use it.
That's like World War I code talkers.
Well, you're right.
Many of them came from areas that are very desolate. Like, I think there's over 400 Navajo in the World War II Pacific Command overall. And they came from pretty isolated areas, and they had to learn the hard way.
Well, that just makes the story more incredible, because you aren't just, learning the system in which, you're relaying code, but you're also adapting to a completely different world. I mean, I would have never have thought about that.
Well, but the military takes you through basic training.
Okay.
And so, you look at just the Native Americans, but that happened with a lot of rural Americans came from farms that didn't have electricity.
Oh, yeah.
Even in 1971 and 72, we had people in basic training that didn't have electricity when they came to their basic training. It was new to them. So not many. I ran into one personally. But, so again, the military would take you through the basic training, how to shoot, how to salute, and all to do the rest of that. But then again, moving into the code talker, they had to utilize how to use radios. They had to connect with, one would be on a ship, one would be on the beach. I think Warren said we had 17 code talkers on Omaha Beach.
Wow.
I believe 15.
15, okay.
14, 15, and then it became 17 commands.
Yes. And one on the beach would contact someone on the ship, pass the message in their native language. No one could break it. It was like the Germans' Enigma machine, where they went through, but that was our own little personal one. And so they would pass those messages back and forth, adjust fire and so forth, or move inland, whatever they were doing. But again, the training, the military is pretty good at that. They can take a person with all different type of economic backgrounds, and they can get them into the basic training and bring them out. The ones that can't quite make it will get shaken out at the bottom, but it's a good process.
That, I'm glad we talked about that, because that's something I don't think my generation truly understands, because we're so used to having, these things in front of us and all this technological advancement. But to really go back to that time period and realize how great of a robust system that really is to get everybody on the same page and get everybody ready to go is incredible. And Warren, I wanted to ask you, what were some of the challenges that code talkers would face whenever they were out on the battlefield, especially during D-Day?
The code talkers were assigned to command and control, which by its very nature would remain in the rear, ordering troops to go forward and so forth for forward operations to neutralize the enemy. They didn't operate at the very lowest level, although occasionally I'm sure that they did have some presence at a low level or forward contact. But I think, and maybe I'm wrong, you can help me, Colonel Morrow. My experience in the military, working command and control and security and signal intelligence and so forth, is that they would have remained right next to the commander
Correct. You'd have had one would be with the commander, and then one would be wherever it was in whichever forward element or element near the front where they needed to coordinate, either from a brigade down to a battalion or from a division to a brigade.
Carry the message to the officers that are using it at forward. So you have two levels, at least two levels, and probably a relay level too somewhere.
Correct.
Because of the strength of the.
And the interesting thing I learned from Warren was that the Native Americans didn't have all the words necessary that they had to translate.
That's
brand new. I mean, tell us about
some
that.
of the cultures simply didn't have modern terms like a tank or a submarine. Okay, so the Navajo and I'm sure the other code talkers from different tribes would say iron turtle for tank.
Wow.
Or for submarine, iron fish, things like that. And that became a standard, we say patois, the language, the common language of code talkers, and was well known too by the using authorities.
That's interesting. And so that almost became a code name just because of the little bit of that barrier there?
Right.
Correct. And in their native language, though. So again, they're not just saying iron tank.
Right.
It's in their native language.
I just remember
Go ahead.
I've had some familiarity with the Chinese Mandarin language, part of my official duties at one time. When I was in school, we were taught that the Chinese word for jet, airplane, was panshaji. Panshaji means spit, shoot, machine. How about that?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, this is humanity. I mean, this is where words come together. The original human being, what did they do? They smell.
Yeah.
I mean.
That's incredible.
Sure.
Do you guys have 1 minute to stick around just because I haven't taken a break yet?
Yep.
The time's 9:27. Are you looking for a fresh start on the road to recovery? A life free from addiction is possible, and it starts with our friends at Centerstone. Centerstone's a national leader in mental health and substance use disorder treatment for people of all ages. With a commitment to delivering care that truly changes people's lives, Centerstone's dedicated clinicians use evidence-based practices in their treatment programs. So it means it's not one of those templates from 30 years ago where it might work, it might not. It's tailor-made, and it's based on the latest sciences to truly help you recover in the best step forward. Listen, it's 2024. Addiction can happen to anybody, but the good thing is, so can recovery. You can start working toward your recovery today by visiting Centerstone online at recoverwithus.org. That's recoverwithus.org, or hang out with Centerstone and myself on the first and last Wednesday of each and every month as we tackle this very important topic.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone, and over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
Dream Home Realty Center.
Hey Sherry, talk to me, Dream Team.
We've got Joey.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but I could have been an electrician. Or I could have been a nurse.
Maybe not.
We are Phillips 66 Wood River Refinery. We make the fuels that take us to work and our children to school. We make materials and energy products that allow us to stay connected to each other. We care about the quality and safety of our products because we care about the communities we share. Our employees live our values of safety, honor, and a commitment to act as good neighbors where we live and operate. We are Phillips 66. Welcome back to our daily show. Here's CJ. 9:30 on the nose. Welcome back to this 29th day of July. Daily show hitting you on a Monday. And man, we still got a full studio. Mayor Morrow and Warren Gohl in studios. We've been talking about just the National Memorial of Military Ascent and plus the Native American contributions during World War II, during D-Day, and just learning more about the Code Talkers. And Warren, whenever I was taking this break, when I came back, there were some questions that I still had about if it was okay. And, you know, what were some of the challenges that Code Talkers would face, especially, you know, just overall, but more specifically, the line of duty, when you have, you know, all the sights and sounds of the battlefield that are hitting you and you know, all the debris that are flying up and everything else that entails. What were some of the ways that they got through that and still made sure they were giving the correct commands and the correct orders?
All I can do is just surmise. Okay.
Yeah.
From my own combat experiences, I can kind of, you know, bridge it somewhat. I was asked some years ago about, oh, you're in Vietnam. Were you scared? I said, no. I said, well, how come? Well, I was too afraid to be scared.
Yeah.
No, this is,
Yeah.
you know, it's a combat. I know. You freeze and you don't even think, you know, how could you, you know, good, this is too big for me. I'm just going to try to get out of here somehow, but for a while, I'm just going to sit here and, hey, you know, you just don't know.
Right.
I would think the bigger challenges for Code Talkers was they didn't have the society that they grew up in, the friends, the life. They recognized the trees, the dogs, the home, the so forth. Their language every day was there. They were in a strange world. So, and they weren't in war all the time. You know, they were basic trainings and so forth, or they're waiting for the deployment. They couldn't go into the community.
Right.
Because they're strange people.
Right.
Strange looking. They're Indians. They couldn't go out with the rest of the white guys, and drink beer or so forth in the community. They weren't allowed. They were restricted.
Were there?
Period. I have had many American Indians friends in the military, and in those days, even when I started in '59, Indian people just didn't go out and drink because there used to be a sign, I remember, outside of one reservation, the whites had put up and said, no dogs, no Indians allowed. That was a reality until not too long ago. So in other words, they were kind of confined to where they were at in the base or whatever, or if they went out, they were small little groups and taking a look, light see, but that was denied to them.
Were there any type of, you know, contribution with everything that's going on there, and that's a whole nother ballgame that I haven't even touched on yet, is with those societal, you know, problems or challenges that they face, were there any type of, or any moment to where maybe, you know, there was a group that maybe set aside, you know, maybe a couple of kegs of beer or a couple of cases of beer for them, or just looked out for them because they were aware of those issues as well? Was that ever the case?
It used to be against the law to give Indian alcohol.
Wow.
Yeah. And if it wasn't a law, it was a custom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea. This is very fascinating.
Well, you know, the same thing happened. I was honored this year to give the keynote speech in Alton at the James Killian Park for Mayor Goins and his wife Sheila, and it was a wonderful day. And the same kind of thing happened in World War II to the blacks. Is that there's segregation? They had their own little areas to go, and my speech was going through and looking at his contributions to the war and reading between the lines and looking at his record and so forth. This wonderful man did a lot of good things.
Right.
But again, the same type of thing that the Native Americans ran into is the black community ran into, and I would imagine the Hispanic community the same thing. So, but you know, one of the questions I asked Warren, and I'm going to ask him on air again because he's answered it well, was with all of the problems that were associated with us taking your land, with killing the people, with just the horrible things that happened, the Trail of Tears and everything. Why do the American Indians volunteer for the U.S. military in such large numbers?
Well, of course, one was economical. It gave them an opportunity to leave the reservation, to gain some skills and the dominant culture for employment and bring some of this back home. Also, there was a point of indemnities and so forth. If they were killed in action and so forth, there may be some benefit given to the family. But I think I feel that the most powerful draw to the military was for them to demonstrate that they were men, protectors of their community, protectors of their family, protectors of their ancestors, and that they were here to remain. And they taken on this great challenge of working with the conqueror's army, becoming part of them, respected. The greatest respect is be respected by your enemy.
Wow, that's actually, I have never heard, that's very true.
The enemy becomes your friend, your brother.
Right.
It's this exchange of trust, recognition of honor, bravery. You can adopt them into your family, or they adopt you into their family. This is part of the Indian tradition, and this is a very, very powerful force that gave us the strength to leave home and to go be with the historical problem and to learn from it, gain from it, and what's more, get trust from your former enemy.
Now, were there any...
Those are all really important reasons.
Yes.
But they're not spoken. They're in the heart. They grew up this way.
Mm-hmm. Were there any tribes that were completely against working with the Americans or the armed forces?
I have no knowledge of that.
Very interesting.
I've never heard of any particular group saying we will not.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons is because the basic treaties that had been prepared and agreed to, allowing peace to take place, and the Indians had returned to a livelihood, a way of living that was secure and safe, poor maybe, but secure and safe.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. I couldn't say. Let's put it this way: if you join the military, you become part of that social structure.
Mm-hmm.
If you resist joining the military for whatever reason, and you have an agreement with the party of the United States, and they're feeding you or supplying medical, and you say, well, I'd really rather not go. I said, well, we'd rather not honor the treaty either. So you're abrogating the treaty and destroying the protection that you have to survive as a people.
Wow. That's
it
pretty
becomes
powerful.
really, when you take it all apart, you look at it and say, oh my God, there is no choice. It's your duty to protect that treaty, protect your people, that protects your people.
Well, and Warren, I wanted to ask you about your personal experience, just going back to the first part of the interview with some of the co-talkers. Did you have maybe, and feel free to say, not the time or place, but any personal stories that kind of highlighted their bravery, their dedication, their mindset that you'd be willing to share with us today?
Yes. Just back in the 1980s, when I first developed severe symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, which later led to becoming 100% VA stress, PTSD combat related, part of my therapy was to contact some former members of my unit, if I could find them. And I did. I found one fellow who was with the 1st 14th Infantry Battalion, which I was supporting back in 1966 in the Central Highlands of Vietnam. And he lived in South Carolina, and he was American Indian. And he knew people that I knew people. I just somehow, I can't remember how it came, but I found his phone number, and we talked, and we had the same language, And his name was Mathers, and we're talking, and he was a medic in the recon platoon, and I had been with that platoon occasionally, off and on, during my tour, for one reason or another, supporting them. And we were talking, and he said, yeah. He said, did you remember Thomas Serrano? And I said, no. He said, well, he used to carry the M60 machine gun on point because he was a strong man. And he said, he was an Indian guy from Minnesota. And I said, he was a medic? He said, yeah. I said, well, you didn't only stay with the recon platoon, you supported other platoons within the company, right? Yeah, yeah. Where is he now? Oh, he said he was killed in the Battle of Dragon Gulch. I said, as a medic? He said, then I said, oh my God, I know this is what happened. And Thomas Serrano was a medic.
Wow.
And he was assigned to support, I think it was Charlie Company of the 1st 14th Infantry. And this was during the Battle of Dragon Crater near the Cambodian border in the Central Highlands. And it was a horrifying 3 weeks. It was just everything went wrong. But nonetheless, the best came out of men. And Thomas Serrano gave his life. The company commander, Captain Federline, who was descended from the famous Federline, of Indian fighter,
Yep.
that was his great-grandfather.
Wow.
He was shot. The company commander was shot by a sniper in a tree. The bullet entered to the upper part of the body, not a straight shot, but the upper part. He was laying on the ground. One medic, there was a medic nearby, came up, tried to see what was wrong. I'm emotional right now. He was shot, killed, fell on the company commander who was alive, conscious. Thomas was there. He went to help both the dying medic and the company commander. Company commander was yelling at him, "Get away, get away, get away." Thomas continued. The sniper killed him.
Oh my God.
He fell over the body of the commander.
That's
Yeah, I heard all this
oh
when
man.
it was happening. I could hear the RTO, the radio transmitter operator. I've been looking for his family for years. He was from Kelly Lake, Minnesota, a copper mining town that's closed down a mine. And I found out where he's buried. I want to make a trip there now. I found out the last couple of years.
Yeah. Wow.
But it was utterly gave his life.
How incredible. I mean, what an incredible man. I mean, just incredible. And,
Yeah.
you know, Mayor Morrow, as we're getting back and just talking about the importance of having this type of memorial, too, and we're hearing some of these stories, just, you know, different battles, but regardless, the fact of the matter is that, you know, during D-Day, we had so many brave thousands, tens of thousands of brave people that went out there and stormed those beaches in Normandy, knowing that they were facing an uphill battle. And to hear about the contributions of the code talkers, the Native American code talkers, how important was it for you to make sure that every embodiment of D-Day, of World War II, of that moment was encapsulated in what you guys were doing in Grafton?
Well, it's not just that moment. It's all of the veterans. And so one of the things that we've done when we got the foundry together, and they've been already making the statues and so forth, that's in process. But they told us early on, this is such a project because they did their homework. They said this is the only project like this in the world.
Wow.
With the 12 life-size bronze statues, the cliff and so forth. So they said, you really need to think about a documentary. Mm-hmm. So what we did is we did our research. We hired a documentary crew out of Michigan. They come down periodically and they do their documentaries and so forth. And what they've also lined, they have a friend up there whose name is Dr. James Smither, and he's a professor at one of the universities, and he has the veterans program that they're working. And he does interviews with veterans to capture it for his program, but also to submit to the Library of Congress.
Wonderful.
For a permanent record. So he comes down. He was down with our documentary crew this week. This last week was a busy week. We had the house full of folks with Warren and the documentary crew and Dr. Smither, and he interviewed 6 veterans while he was here. And he'll be coming down every couple of months, and we're lining up veterans through our Post 648, the American Legion, and other folks in town, because Grafton has 17% of the population are veterans, the largest per capita in the state of Illinois. So it's very important to capture their stories, and not just the stories of the ones that were in combat.
Right.
Everyone's stories. I mean, the stories of the people that just went in for a year, for 2 years, what it meant to them. So that, again, when their kids and grandkids can look that up and say, well, this is Grandpa. Look what he did. You know, he did this, he did that in his own words. So we're doing that with this memorial, and that's also going to be a part of our memorial.
And now, are you going to be releasing maybe a press release on when the documentary team comes into town, or how does that work in case maybe there's some folks that have some stories that maybe you would like to hear?
We've right now they come in for the Dr. Smither will be in for like about 2 or 3 days, and we have people lined up. And so what we're doing, I'm working with the commander of the American Legion, John Hughes, and he's setting up folks for us and people that we know. And so we have a plethora of people to pick from, and as the pickings get slim down the road, we'll be looking. But no,
Right now.
or they can come see us at the city hall, and we'll line up and get their name.
Well, and I also wanted to ask about just, and I always like to do this every time we talk. As you can see, I still have my beautiful folder.
It looks great.
We talk a lot about this. Well, and one thing I always like to point out is, you know, I feel like my generation, you hit on this with having those stories and really, because I feel like my generation needs to realize that, you know, their relative, their aunt, uncle, grandfather, great-grandfather had the passion of every American hero that was going into the front lines, or maybe not even going onto the front lines. When they see that, what do you think that does for their passion just to, you know, keep the American story going? Because I think passion's what we're really needing.
Most of the veterans won't talk about their service, and a lot of the kids won't ask, and so they pass on and nobody knows. So, and the other thing is not just the veterans, but World War II and all those, it was an entire nation that was at war. Even the kids were involved with scrap drives, paper drives, tin drives. They had rationing on the automobiles. They had stickers.
Little stamps at school.
All of those are things that they did, and just the war industry gearing up. A lot of people were not allowed to go to war because they were either a farmer producing agricultural products, they were either had an industry, either in the war industry. A lot of the Rosie the Riveter took over a lot of those jobs, but there are a lot of people in copper mining and nickel mining and so forth. Those rare metals that we needed, that they were not classified to go to the shooting war. Their job was to stay there and produce the products. So it was an entire effort, and we always think about the point of the spear, which Warren was at. But one of those, when you look back, the spear gets very large behind it. All that support organization that has to keep that spear moving forward.
That's just incredible. Yeah. I mean,
and that's what we're capturing here, is when we look at the factor with representing all the services and that.
Well, and that's why I wanted to bring it up too, because, you know, just like everyone, you know, contributing at all hands on deck during World War II at all facets of our country, you know, here is something I always like to bring up too, where, you know, even if you might not be directly tied into this memorial, there's always a way to really help support it, so that folks from around the country, and they will do this, will come on in to really take a look. Is there ways that we can financially contribute to this project?
You go to graftonmemorial.org, graftonmemorial.org, and right on the front page it sums up. You can any amount is great, but for $1,000 you can become a sponsoring member, and we're only taking 5,000 of those. When that's done, then it turns into contributing members and so forth. But as a sponsoring member, your name will be a part of that memorial in perpetuity, or the name of the loved one that you want for that.
That's wonderful. And right here, guys, we're going to go on the screen real quick just so you can see it at home. This is the website, the National Memorial Military Ascent. Right here you can see donate.
Go down, scroll a little bit more.
Even further. Okay. Right here.
There you go. Right there on the front page. Whoop.
Got to go back.
There's your spot. Be a founding member. $1,000. Get your uncle, your aunt, or your organization. On there.
It's just wonderful. And you know, real quick too, are there any more scans that are going to be going down this year for the memorial, or are those all done?
We did all 12 of the statues in the first week of June. The foundry came out here, and those right now are being finished up in North Carolina. They're going to go to Portland, Oregon, where they're going to put through the 3D printer. They'll get the process there. Those sections will go back to North Carolina, and they'll start putting those together for the casting process. This digital process cuts out 1 year of that time. So in other words, the 2-year process is down to 1 year, and it cuts the price in half.
That's incredible.
I love that because everybody can help with that. So your dollars are very important. Get on the website, contribute. If you don't have $1,000 for that, save it up. But also, even I had a woman at the end of their library speech. She came up and she goes, I want to make a donation. She reached in her wallet and took out $10. And I says, great. So, every contribution, made her write it down. We're going to give her a tax donate, tax credit. It's a 501c3. Also wrote her a personal note from the president of the organization, me. Thank you so much. And she was talking about, I want to get more when I get it. And I said, well, God bless you.
Yeah.
God bless you.
And I love it. All hands on deck, and every little bit will go a long way,
Honor, remember, and as Warren would say, educate all our children so that they know.
Warren, I'm going to tell you this, sir. This has been so much fun for me just to sit here and just learn from you, because I went into this, and I even told Sydney before I got down here, I went, I don't know a lot about what I'm going to talk about today, so I'm going to shut up and listen.
It's amazing how much you learn.
Isn't it? Well, Warren, Mayor Morrow, thank you guys so much. And for all of you that have been tuned in for the last 50 minutes, this was a great conversation. You can catch it on RiverBender.com and Roku TV just a little bit after 11:30 today. But before I take a quick break, speaking of Hayner Library, get your library card because you can unlock access to presentations just like Warren gave a couple of weeks ago. You know what? Hayner Library, it's a door to adventure, a door to knowing, a door to discovery, where you can utilize the genealogy department and discover your family's roots. Now, do you know about the library things they got down there?
Oh, yeah.
This is the coolest thing, where, your kid's got a math final and the calculator breaks, but you only need it that one time. Instead of going to Walmart, paying the $300, and then fighting it in the return line the next day, you can rent it for free at Hayner Library with your library card.
Beautiful.
And there's so many things like that, whether it's ghost hunting equipment or one of those stand mixers for baking. They got it all. Plus now with their seed library, you get native seeds for your garden for free with your library card, plus all the other benefits I've said thousands of times. All you need to do is go to HaynerLibrary.org, HaynerLibrary.org, click on the How Do I tab, get a library card, click Confirm, and you're good to go. Plus, join Mary Cordes and myself on the first and last Monday of each and every month as we go beyond the shelves. Ready for fantastic deals? Head to Village Dispensary, where every day is a celebration. Start your week with 25% off Dog Walker pre-rolls on Monday. Tuesday, enjoy 25% off Divs gummies. On Wednesday, enjoy 30% off Nevada pens. On Thursday, it's 30% off CQ sodas, margaritas, and more. Friday, enjoy 3.5 grams of Megatron by NGW and Cronuts number 4 by Paul Bunyan for $25. Visit VillageDispo.com and shop now.
No matter the season, Play It Again Sports in Edwardsville has the gear the athletes need to get in the game. Whether you're shopping for the newest sports equipment or saving money on quality used gear, Play It Again Sports carries what you need to maximize performance to get the most out of every swing, kick, stroke, or shot. We'll even buy your used goods, paying cash on the spot. We carry all the gear for all the sports all year long. We're your hometown sporting goods store. Play It Again Sports, conveniently located at 4 Club Center Court in Edwardsville.
I just got a new air conditioner. Top of the line.
I bet mine's better. It's so efficient and quiet, I hardly know it's running.
I've got you both trumped. I've got a Linux.
So do I.
Barrett Heating and Cooling carries Linux products to meet any budget. Don't gamble with your energy dollars. Call Barrett Heating and Cooling and start saving today.
Lennox. Innovation never felt so good.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
Welcome to Evergreen Place, a community that embodies joyful living, independence, and financial freedom for seniors. If you're looking for a full day of activities or to relax in your apartment, we have you covered. Located on the Alton Memorial campus. To know us is to love us. Experience the difference at Evergreen Place.
better when you're under our roof. That's because our expert agents will make you feel totally protected with the right auto and home coverage at the right price. Also, you can enjoy the dreams you worked so hard to achieve. American Family Insurance.
Since 1993, Sparks Junk Removal is always adapting to the needs of our clients. That is why we now offer weekly trash pickup for selected areas. Plus, we offer driveway-safe rubber-tired dumpster rental. Give us a call today at 618-781-1407 or visit us at sparksjunkremoval.net.
Not sure if you've noticed, but those advertised prices from the other dealers are just a bunch of blah, blah, blah. At Roberts Motors, the advertised price is the price you pay. And that, my friend, is great news for you. Don't fall for their so-called incentives that will leave you banging your head against the wall. Go with Roberts Motors. Prices you can trust and people you will like. That's the Roberts Motors way. And trust me, it's the way to go.
Mark your calendars for August 9th as Scotty McCreery is live at the Alton Amphitheater, celebrating the release of Rise and Fall, out now.
And tickets are on sale now.
Hear your favorites like This Is It.
This is now. This is what I've been talking about. Looking out.
And the new hit, Cab in a Solo. Get your tickets now at metrotix.com. Welcome back to our daily show. Here's CJ. Sorry, I ain't letting no bald spot hit me at 9:50. I ain't got it's just the way it was partying. I looked like I had a bald spot. Well, welcome back. Daily Show hitting you at 9:57. And man, that was probably in one of my best conversations I've had all year. Oh, wow. We wanted to fill you in on this too. We'll get to that in a second, but really, one of the coolest conversations I've had with Mayor Morrow and Warren Gohl, who was just fantastic. And if you want to learn more about this memorial, you do so by going to graftonmemorial.org. That's graftonmemorial.org. Also had another piece of paper here. Stand by for a couple of seconds here. Can you guys mind? This is a live show. I got to stand up and walk around real quick. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. All right, I'm coming back here. Hold on. Sorry, I don't have a co-host, so I gotta, Hey, wanted to fill you in. Don't know if you saw it on Brian Trust's show, You're Beautiful, which is every Thursday afternoon at 2 p.m. Wonderful conversation with Mila Dixon, who is just a wonderful human being. On June 20th, Kirby, the son of Mike and Mila Dixon, and is the 5th child of 13, was diagnosed with an aggressive form of brain cancer, and they're inviting you to join them in a benefit on August the 24th, where they're going to raise funds for medical expenses and just gather to show support as they continue to fully rely on God for Kirby. This benefit starts on Saturday, August the 24th at 12 noon. It will run until 5 p.m. There will be live music by the Backyard Blues Band and the Ricky John acoustic duo, plus a basket raffle, silent auction, t-shirt sales, baked goods sales, a cash bar, and so much more. It's $20 per person, or if you're a couple, $30 for couple tickets. Tickets include a meal, and 12 and under are free. Now, there's also going to be a pop culture trivia night with Chill Trivia Company, $20 per player, up to 10 per team, cash prize for the top 3 teams. You have to contact 618-593-7929 to reserve your table and for any other details. And this is just going to be a great opportunity to support such a great local family. I learned about it by listening to Brian Trust's show, You're Beautiful, on Thursdays, and this is just a wonderful way to support a great family. You can go to kirbystrong.itemorder.com to get your tickets or to get your shirts, and the Frog for Kirby shirts available there, where you can support that way as well. FROG stands for Fully Rely on God. A wonderful conversation, and you can see that on RiverBender.com/You're Beautiful. Hey, the time is 10 o'clock, so why don't we do this? Let me take a quick break, but while I do that, let me fill you in on Alton Little Theater. Oliver starts in just a couple of days. I mean, we're here. It starts this week on August the 3rd, and I know that so many of you are excited about this show, but you got to get tickets now. I'm telling you. You heard Lee Cox talk about it last Thursday, and that's the fact is there's very few left. So if you want to get tickets, you got to go to altonlittletheater.org right now or call 618-462-3205 because they're down to the nitty-gritty on these tickets because so many people are ready to see Oliver, that great musical, the big one, coming in to kick off the 91st season of Alton Little Theater, the oldest, most continuous in the state of Illinois and one of the oldest in the country. I'm telling you there's a reason. It's because they have great performers, but most importantly, the passion that they have. Whether you're a performer, you're part of the crew, you're part of the executive board, you're part of, you name it, everyone a part of Alton Little Theater, they got passion. And for $85, you can get season tickets to the 91st season. What's $85 get you in St. Louis? Half of a parking spot that's not even in a gated facility. Not at Alton Little Theater. You get a full season of entertainment, that 2 hours of escape every month that we all need so much right now. AltonLittleTheater.org or hang out with Lee Cox and I on the first and last Thursday of each month for, get over here, Theater Thursday.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone. And over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
Dream Home Realty Center.
Hey, Sherry, talk to me, Dream Team.
We've got Joey.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but I could have been an electrician. Or I could have been a nurse.
Maybe not.
We are Phillips 66 Wood River Refinery. We make the fuels that take us to work and our children to school. We make materials and energy products that allow us to stay connected to each other. We care about the quality and safety of our products because we care about the communities we share. Our employees live our values of safety, honor, and a commitment to act as good neighbors where we live and operate. We are Phillips 66.
Welcome back to our daily show. Here's CJ.
Welcome back, 10:04, top of the hour news, hitting you on the nose. Hey, this is a very big story. Attorney General Kwame Raoul has elaborated more this Monday about charges regarding a former Alton police officer with theft and wire fraud, alleging he stole funds from the Alton Police Department Benevolent and Protective Association while employed by the department. Raoul said that Jeremiah T. Dressler, 41 of Brighton, faces 1 count of Class 2 felony theft, 1 count of Class 2 felony theft by deception, and 3 counts of Class 3 felony wire fraud. The Class 2 felony charge carries a maximum sentence of up to 7 years in prison each, while the Class 3 felony charges carry a maximum sentence of up to 5 years each. Sentences can be served concurrently depending on the court's decision. Now, Dressler, surrendered to the Madison County Sheriff's Office on Friday following the issuance of a warrant for his arrest, his next court appearance scheduled for August the 9th. The public should be able to rely on law enforcement officers to abide by the laws they swear to uphold, and so should their fellow officers, Raul stated. I would like to thank the Illinois State Police for their work investigating this case. My office will continue to collaborate with law enforcement agencies to investigate and hold accountable public servants who abuse their positions for their own financial gain. The investigation was conducted by Illinois State Police Special Investigations Unit. ISP Director Brendan Kelly emphasized the importance of accountability in public service, stating, quote, "No one is above the law, especially those who swear an oath to uphold the law. ISP's Special Investigations Unit will thoroughly investigate cases of public corruption to help maintain the public's trust in those charged with serving their communities." Assistant Attorneys General Haley C. Bookhout and Stephen R. Salerson are handling the prosecution for Attorney General Raul's office. And please note, as always, the public is reminded that the defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Also in the news today, oh, well, that's not good. I just lost our entire news feed. Also in the news today, Dan Brannon is reporting on Sunday, July the 28th, the Godfrey Fire Protection District responded to a trailer park fire on West Delmar. The fire swiftly extinguished, preventing extensive damage to the trailer, according to district officials. The Fosterburg Fire Department assisted at the scene and then returned to service. We are grateful for the rapid response from our team and the support from Fosterburg, a Godfrey Fire Protection District official said in a statement to Riverbender. Their efforts ensured that the fire was contained quickly and efficiently. No injuries were reported, and the cause of the fire is currently under investigation. Also in the news today, Dan Brannon reporting that early Saturday morning, July 27th, a car struck two homes at approximately 6 a.m. in the 1200th block of Ranworth Drive in Godfrey. According to the shift commander at the Godfrey Fire Department, the vehicle crashed through the backyard fencing of one home and collided with the corner of another. The driver was transported to a St. Louis area hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The incident resulted in significant damage to one of the homes, necessitating the disconnection of gas and power services. As a result, the residents of the affected home have been displaced. The area has a history of frequent crashes, adding to the concern for local authorities and residents alike. Also, in the news today, the organization Trinity's Way will host its annual litter cleanup and pet food drive to celebrate Trinity's birthday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturday, August the 4th. People are invited to drop off pet food and supplies at Piasaw Park. Community members can also participate in a litter cleanup of the caves on the bluffs. April Gray, founder of Trinity's Way and Trinity's mother, said the organization's mission is to boost conservation and animal welfare in memory of Trinity. For more information about Trinity's Way, including how to support them, you can visit trinitiesway.org or go to their official Facebook page. Finally, in the news today, Dan Brannon is reporting out of Fairview Heights that Charles Barrage, 42 of Fairview Heights, was charged with possession of child pornography following an extensive investigation by Fairview Heights Police Department. On July 24th, the investigation, which included the execution of numerous search warrants, led to the discovery of digital media containing child pornography in Barrage's possession. He resides in the 700th block of Terra Springs Way Drive, was apprehended by detectives from the Fairview Heights Police Department. The case subsequently presented to the St. Clair County State's Attorney's Office, headed by James Gomerick, which issued multiple warrants for Barrage's arrest. These warrants included 5 counts of possession of child pornography, each classified as a Class 2 felony. In accordance to the Safety Act, pretrial release provisions, Faraj was released from custody pending trial. The Fairview Heights Police Department has reaffirmed its commitment to community safety and encourages individuals with information related to child exploitation to come forward. That's a look at what's happening around the River Bend. Let's take a quick check at your weather forecast. And folks, that excessive heat warning has been issued, and it is on until August 1st at 7 p.m. In Madison, Monroe, and St. Clair counties in Illinois from 1 p.m. Tuesday to 7 p.m. Thursday. The impacts are heat-related illnesses increasing significantly during extreme heat and high humidity events. Today, it will be uncomfortably humid with variable cloudiness, and tonight a thunderstorm this evening. Otherwise, partly cloudy, warm, and very humid. Now, these thunderstorms can get rough. Police take note that they could be a cause of flash flooding and damaging winds. Currently, right now, the air quality is ranked at good. Grass is low. Mold is low. The ragweed levels are moderate. Tree levels are unexistent, and the UV index is still ranked as high. Today, Monday, temperatures reach 94 degrees today. It'll feel about a 104 by the time the afternoon rolls around. And then temperatures drop to 73 as we head into Tuesday. There's still a 90% chance of rain on this Monday. Today, or coming up on Tuesday, a high of 96, a low of 76 with a 40% chance of rain. But here comes the heat. On Wednesday, a high of 99 degrees, a low of 80. On Thursday, a high of 95, a low of 73. And on Friday, we get some relief, a high of 88 degrees, a low of 69 degrees. But that's a look at your next 5 days. Currently, as it sits at 71 degrees, it feels like 70. I don't agree with that, but that's what they say. And the time is 10:12. For time and temperature throughout the day, 618-465-4545. This time powered by Bounce Back, Rehab, Recover, and Return Home. Hey, while we have you, this is normally the time I tell you about Grid Solar, but we're going to be talking to the guys in just a couple of seconds. So why don't I fill you in on Village Dispensary, where quality cannabis and friendly faces await. They've got everything from vapes and flower to topicals, tinctures, edibles, concentrates, and accessories. You'll feel like you're in your own Weedtopia. Their inventory is bigger than Cheech and Chong's stash, and they got it all. Their friendly staff will have you in and out faster than you can say up and smoke. Locally owned, community-focused, union-built, Village Dispensary believes in quality and good times. Check out VillageDispo.com to see their selection. And when you stop by, don't forget to tell them that you know who sent you over their way. That's Village Dispensary or VillageDispo.com. We'll take a look at downtown Alton and come back with more of our daily show.
Turn the song. When you're coming home, I can't go on. Turn the song. When you are gone, I turn to stone.
Mark your calendars for August 9th as Scotty McCreery is live at the Alton Amphitheater, celebrating the release of Rise and Fall, out now.
And tickets are on sale now.
Hear your favorites like This Is It.
This is now. This is what I've been talking about. Looking out.
And the new hit, Cab in a Solo.
Can't believe what I just saw.
Get your tickets now at metrotix.com.
Get paid to go solar. We're not solar bros. At Grid, we're solar pros. We explain the process behind solar power so you can make an informed decision. We'll work with you to make owning your power as simple as possible and affordable with zero down financing and payment options. Our only goal is to save you money. Call Grid when you're ready to be independent of the power company.
I had an amazing experience with Dr. Haug and her team. I came here when I was 10 years old to get my braces on. Now I'm 28 years old, braces off, and I get so many compliments on my smile. It's helped me thrive in my career as a news reporter, and also as Miss Missouri USA, I took the stage with confidence, knowing my smile was gonna make me look like $1 million. I've never felt better and more confident because of my smile.
Life's better when you're under the American Family Insurance roof because they know your house is home base for their dreams. Whether it's a kid like me aiming for the big leagues, ready, future rocket scientist, or a budding prima ballerina. When you feel totally protected, your family's free to pursue their dreams. She's good.
Let's go.
American Family Insurance.
No matter the season, Play It Again Sports in Edwardsville has the gear the athletes need to get in the game. Whether you're shopping for the newest sports equipment or saving money on quality used gear, Play It Again Sports carries what you need to maximize performance to get the most out of every swing, kick, stroke, or shot. We'll even buy your used goods, paying cash on the spot. We carry all the gear for all the sports all year long. We're your hometown sporting goods store. Play It Again Sports, conveniently located at 4 Club Center Court in Edwardsville. Picture This and More has been a trusted name in the Alton community for more than 30 years, with the last 3 being right here on Broadway. We specialize in quality framing at affordable prices. We also feature works by local artists because we're proud of our community. If you have valued treasures to display and preserve, we're sure to have the perfect fit with our large selection of custom framing and display options. Whatever color, shape, or size, Picture This and More has the look you need. Stop by today and let us help you with your next project.
Ready for fantastic deals? Head to Village Dispensary, where every day is a celebration. Start your week with 25% off Dog Walker pre-rolls on Monday. Tuesday, enjoy 25% off Divs gummies. On Wednesday, enjoy 30% off Nevada pens. On Thursday, it's 30% off CQ sodas, margaritas, and more. Friday, enjoy 3.5 grams of Megatron by NGW and Cronuts number 4 by Paul Bunyan for $25. Visit villagedispo.com and shop now.
Welcome back to our daily show. Here's CJ.
We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue.
10:17, and we got the whole gang here. Jason, Ryan, Grid Solar, and half of a CJ. Man, how do you guys combat whenever you get some weather like that? Do you have to stay pretty honest to the radar for your crews and all that, install-wise?
Oh, yeah. Like, if there's any lightning or if it's precipitation, they can't be on a roof, you know.
Right.
And, you know, especially with electrical work and things like that. So, unfortunately, that does cut into our work life quite a bit. But the guys also get a lot of days off. So, especially lately. Good for them when you're doing that kind of work.
You know, so can I tell you a funny story? I'm a media guy, so I'm obviously get a little egotistical every once. Not all the time, but every once in a while the hat comes out. And I was talking to my buddy who works construction, and he sent me a Snapchat, and he goes, "Man, you want to go to the bar at 11 and, you know, have a little bit of a day drink?" And I go, "Don't you work? It's 11 o'clock on a Tuesday." "Well, god dang, man, I'm working when it's 105 degrees and you're in that air conditioner." Okay, you win. You win. Okay, you can have your damn day off. You know, I get it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, one thing I wanted to talk about, and for the folks at home going, it's about damn time. I have not actually asked you how the process actually works from start to finish, and that's something that I never even thought of being something to discuss. But now that I'm thinking about it, I truly don't understand how it all works from the moment I call you for that consultation, from the moment that install is starting to go, and then that final product. So let's talk about it today.
Well, so I'll take the front half because that's pretty much the parts that I manage there. And so you've got the sales consultation, which, you know, we sit down, we design a system for you.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we take an educational approach. We're there to teach you everything you need to know about solar so that you can make a decision you're confident in. Again, whether that's let's do solar or not, we need you to be confident, so we educate you. You decide, let's do it, let's go solar, let's go with Grid LLC. Obviously, there's some paperwork to sign, I's to dot, T's to cross, financing, etc. And then, you know, once we have the paperwork out of the way, that's basically where we hand that off to project management. We're going to take a bunch of photos and things like that for the engineers. The project manager is going to take the photos, get the engineering taken care of, SREC documents or part of the original document signing and everything as well. But yeah, once you have engineering completed and we know that O'Fallon, Edwardsville, whoever it is, Alton is going to let this go on your roof the way it is, we get approvals from Ameren, or whoever your utility is, and the permits, get those approved. And once we basically are at that finish line, we have everyone who has to say yes, has said yes, this is okay. That's when we pass it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool.
Yep. And that's basically when I get to order all the materials, make sure it gets delivered on site, before the installation. We schedule installation, all that good stuff. And then from there, we get on somebody's roof or in their yard if it's a ground mount. That process only takes a couple of days. So the part that he talked about, that can take 2 or 3 months sometimes, right? Just because you have to, these other entities also have their part in processing, and they have wait times as well, right? So we can't control the whole thing.
Well, and that's what always is fascinating to me, because you know what, when I first started talking to you guys, I immediately thought, well, the long part was the install because of just, getting everything set up. But it makes total sense after we started talking why some of the why it takes the amount of time that it does. And it's got to be really exciting for the client, though, and you guys on that journey whenever all right, hey, letter A checked off on yes. Now we're on to B. That checked off as yes. Right. What's that anticipation like? And because I'm sure, like you just said, it takes months could take months to get some of those things going. What's that moment like when everything starts to click and all those emails start to fly a lot faster?
So I always kind of try to warn customers about the emotions they're going to go through through this process.
Yeah.
If you think about when you buy a pool, you're going to hear about permitting. Most of it's just emails at this point, but then once they dig that hole in your yard, it starts to get real, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once their, boots are on your roof, it starts to get very real. And I actually always tell customers, I'm like, be careful. You will become impatient after the panels are on your roof, but not turned on.
Right.
Because we have to wait for the utility to come out and give us permission to operate, because we're operating in conjunction with the grid. So they get to have an inspection as well. The city has an inspection. And so that can take 2 to 4 weeks. So imagine having your pool done, clear water, but don't jump in it just yet.
Yeah.
Right? and that's essentially what we're
process.
telling people.
Can we touch on that for a
Sure.
second? So when you go out there and you have the panels up there, it's still not on because you got to have that final inspection. So
Right.
the install, getting the panels there, could only take a couple of hours, right, or a couple of days.
A couple of days usually.
But
yeah.
so about 4 weeks, so it could be to get all the final thumbs up and this is inspected and good to go.
Pretty much, yeah. It's going to start at about 4 weeks, and it can take a little bit longer than that, just depending on the project and the complexity of it, right?
Man, you guys kind of unlocked something here. You got a bunch of people to feel like kids at Christmas again,
Well,
When's that gift coming in?
That's kind of cool, because one of the benefits of us being in this industry is the product that we're selling to people and installing and all this. It is actually exciting.
Yeah.
It's not like, somebody's getting their driveway repaved, which is still, that's still a nice thing. But nobody's kind of excited for this new driveway.
No one's bringing their damn neighbor over to look at their driveway.
Exactly. But then, you get solar panels on a roof, and, they start seeing the small power bills and stuff. And people are legitimately excited, which makes it a lot easier to do this job.
Not to cut you off, but what I think's so cool about what you guys do is how word of mouth works in your industry. Because solar, remember, we started talking, is such an unknown thing. It could be scary, but man, when those neighbors get that equipment lit up and man, they're good to go. It's like a new Corvette in the driveway.
Right.
You got people coming over and they want to know more, and all of a sudden, everyone's ready to jump on the train, it seems like.
Most of our business comes directly from referrals. So, while we do some online marketing and stuff, generally speaking, as a solar company, we operate like an old school company. Referrals and customer service are our main, tenants. So we have to maintain that, and we do. Our guys are awesome. Our installers, we get rave reviews all the time about those guys.
So whenever I was learning about our segment starting, I went and kind of did the Google the Google gauntlets, what I call it, and I find out all the review. And every time I look on, it's so cool to see how people love the install team. Just to hit on what you just said, it was almost like
we get detailed reviews about that. Yeah, it's not just like a little blurb. That's a paragraph sometimes. It's great. humbling, but also like, gives you a little ego boost.
Well, and I wanted to talk about that too, because that's a really good thing to highlight, because we've all been a part of, not all of us, but we've had jobs done at our house or maybe our neighbor's house, and the guys that are working there are throwing their junk everywhere, and they got their Doritos bag that they got at Casey's,
Right.
and now it's in the roofing tile of the house,
right.
you name it.
Sitting in the gutter or something.
Yeah, but you guys, I mean, the whole install team does a fantastic job of really holding that property to the highest degree of care, and that's something that's really good to point out.
It is, yeah. We definitely, they go the extra mile. My guys, honestly, I worked, like last week specifically, we were on a job, and they just, there's a process. It's a fine-tuned machine.
Yeah.
Like, you get one guy unloading a panel, they start laying them down, and it's just like, they don't even have to talk. They just do it.
Well, don't get because I haven't talked about a raise yet for you guys, just in case they're tuned in today.
Well, they better be working right now.
One thing.
That would be funny. Great segment today, Bob.
One thing I'd point out, because again, I'm more from the sales and marketing and project management side of things. But again, I've been on the roof. I've done the installs, so I know what they go through on a much more smaller scale. They always know that they can learn more. So they like, as good as they are at it, they do not believe that they're perfect.
That's really cool, man. That's a great thing to point out, because that shows the passion that the team has too for the industry, and that's what you need.
Yeah.
Wanted to talk about, we were mentioned last time you were on about municipalities a tiny bit, and just the other side of solar, because a lot of us just think residential for our homes, but there's a lot of people that have a lot of large spaces for their businesses, whether they have an event space, maybe it's a huge restaurant and they have another outside portion of it, that I could only imagine just the grimace they have when that power bill comes in. It's like, oh God, it's the middle of July, don't open it. But you guys do some really great work on that side of things as well, correct? And let's go through that process. How does it differ from maybe a residential than when we start talking commercial and municipal?
So yeah, commercial, municipal, industrial, even. A lot of times I drive by and I see warehouses with nothing but roof on them, and I'm like, there's just so much sun hitting that. It's like watching corn die in the field. Harvest it already. So
good point.
Yeah.
So the process isn't a whole lot different. There can be some additional upfront because we're talking so much bigger numbers with, like we just did a small commercial job that was 39 kilowatts. So it's still 3 or 4 times a residential job. So, when it comes to, again, working with a utility, this has to go on their grid, and there can be things like transformer sizes that need to be considered. And again, even a business might only be open 8 hours a day. So what happens on the weekends when they're not using any energy at all, but they're pumping out tons of energy to the grid? So there's just a different give and take with the utility, requires more engineering. So again, we tend to allot for more time for those. But again, actually, those municipalities have access to additional credits.
Now, let's talk about that, because I didn't realize that when you were hitting me with some of the SREC before we came on to do the interview today. Take me through some of those benefits that are unlocked from a municipal standpoint.
So, municipal standpoint, rural businesses, they have access to an additional 10% federal tax credit. Again, not a CPA. There's a lot of things that you'd want to check with. But, if you did qualify for that, you're talking about 40% now just from Uncle Sam that you're going to receive back for your municipality, for your public school, for your business, and that's huge. It's a huge tax credit.
Well, and I don't know how you guys feel, but I was just driving last night and drove by CVS, and I'm going, why the hell are there lights on? There's nobody inside. They have to have those
security lights.
Yeah, those lights that are on in the hallways and everything. And I'm thinking, for a business that has to have that, a locally owned business, you don't have the glamour of a corporate write-off or a corporate, kind of spin. This could be a really good way to really help combat those ridiculous bills, because from what I've been told, just from a handful of business owners, that it's insane right now.
Yeah. Well, and also not just for business owners, but like where he was leading earlier, the municipalities, like
Public
charitable
schools.
organizations, things like that. They also, even though they don't pay taxes, they can actually claim the tax credit under the Inflation Reduction Act. That
Can
was
they
passed.
really?
They can, yeah. So,
Wow.
So if you work for a township or a public school, or you run some kind of charitable organization, and you have a business, or a building that you power all the time, those people actually get a tax credit, just like everybody else.
Well, and if I'm a school administrator or superintendent, this is where I really start to look at those options, because every year you know that you're going to get 800 phone calls about why my tax bill is increased and what's
Right.
going on here. Well, think about it. My thought is very simple. You can sit there and really do something that is cost saving in the long term for your taxing body, and then open it up to use those funds for other additional purchases for the student body.
And
Makes
it's not even in the long term. When you talk about the extra tax
Yeah.
credits and the extra, you can get tax deductions because now you have an investment that you are depreciating as
Getting.
well.
Yep.
So you're basically taking a pure expense, your power bill, pure expense, and you're turning it into an investment that has tax benefits. It has depreciation that you can do. I mean,
So it's a shorter term thing. I mean,
oh yeah. This is like, again, if you're an administrator whose budget continues to shrink, or whose budget stays the same, but your expenses continue to grow because they're dealing with inflation too, right?
Right.
I mean, computers cost more, pencils cost
Software.
more, everything costs more, but a lot of these administrators are getting the same budget, so they have to do more with less.
Yep.
And on the agriculture side, we were talking about that. Were we a couple weeks ago? Was that you and I?
Yep.
Is it kind of the same type of process because of just how large some of those spaces can be?
Well, you got to be careful again because you're covering usage, right? It's not necessarily that the utilities are trying to buy energy from you. So, if somebody has a field that they lay fallow and it's going to be fallow for the next 15 years, it's not necessarily advantageous for them to put solar on it, just because the power company might not pay you enough for it to have been worth it.
Right.
We're talking about if a public school or business, if we can get their power bill to zero, close to zero, even reduced by half, you now have that money as an investment. And again, when you talk about all of the tax benefits, everything, then you look at it at the end of the day, you're like, I am literally tomorrow, the day I turn my solar on, I'm spending less money.
Well, and see, now that's a huge thing. If I'm an administrator anywhere, I'm pulling a meeting together saying, hey, it might not be with Grid, but just regardless, I'd hope it is with Grid, but, regardless, we got to start having that conversation because, there's so many people that are picking up the phone and ready to call tomorrow about why things are going up and up and up and why bills keep increasing. But when you can present to your taxing body, which is the true boss, hey, look what we just did for you year over year. We brought down our energy bill to literally zero because we were working with a reliable company and we found those benefits. Now, with these changes coming to net metering, do these still affect municipalities? Do they still affect the commercial side, the school district side of things?
Yep.
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
Oh, man.
Yep. It's a statewide change, actually, not just Ameren, but a statewide change.
Yep. ComEd, everybody.
So it's another thing too with, that I hate to make it sound like it's dire, but that urgency is definitely there then for those additional savings, correct?
Right, yeah. And so next year solar is still going to make sense. Right. It's not like it's going away. It's just definitely more favorable to the consumer right now. Right.
So it's like very simple. It's almost like you're getting ready to hand me $100 bill, but you say, CJ, next time I see you, I'm going to hand you 50.
Right.
Which one do you want to take, the 100 or the 50?
Exactly. Right.
I'm still going to give you money though at the end of the day.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
And the utility will give you nothing, so you should still do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Hey, man, sleep deprived and a migraine, but I'm still making somewhat sense. Getting dangerous out there, guys. Well, what are you working on? What are your current projects?
Right now, the guys are on a residential project. Last week, we finished up a municipal project for Highway Department in Monticello, Illinois.
Really cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. Actually, it was so smooth. It's a good-looking install, and we're looking forward to getting them permission to operate, PTO. We have a bunch of irons in the fire this week as well. So
check out our Facebook page. because they posted photos of it.
Oh yeah, one of our installers posted photos. Yeah,
And I'll tell you what, like, you know, I'm biased, so I'll say that. But like, you see some of the photos that people post of, you know, installations, some of these other companies, the installations they're proud of, and then you see ours, and I mean, anybody can tell there's a difference.
This is really cool.
It's really obvious.
Well, and see, that's what I think's really cool too, because, you know, as someone that's not as familiar as you guys are with this industry, just seeing the way that you guys are able to get some of these builds done is pretty impressive. Now, I'm on your Facebook page. Where's this picture at? I'm ready to showcase it.
Let's see.
I'm ready to showcase it here. Okay, hold on here. I'm going to turn the screen around. I'm on your Facebook page.
He got tagged. Let's see.
I got tagged?
It's not there yet.
Oh, mentions. I'll go to mentions there.
There you go.
Is that it?
That's it.
Oh my God! Look
there
at
we go.
that. Looks pretty slick. Hold on here. We're gonna go on the scene so you guys can see how great work they do. This is Grid Solar. Let me take this lower third out so you guys can see the whole damn thing. Look at that. Damn, I love what I do. That was a tagged one. Now,
perfectly straight. No wires hanging underneath the panels. It was just. It's flawless. I love it.
Every clamp, even every clamp in the exact same spot. You know.
I mean, look at that. Look at that. That is cool.
Yeah.
Well, and the spacing on it. I mean, everything is pretty picturesque on that one.
Yep. They did a really, really good job.
That deserves some kudos to the team, I think.
Have a perfectionist do your solar.
Well, and see, that's where, again, I keep driving this point home, but I'm very, very strict, you know, kind of a stickler on this. I get so annoyed with guys that go, I can take care of that for you, you know, or I got a great crew. And, you know, we can all have great crews, but whenever you aren't locked in for that specific project and it doesn't look good, that's reflective of the work that you do overall. And whenever you're going through this, and I've showed your pictures 10, 20 times now, I feel like, on different projects, all of them have that same, there's so much symmetricalism in it, really, which I think is so cool. Everything's very, you know, A to B, B to C. It's not, well, man, hey, we actually needed to kind of shave this part down to make it level. So why don't we just kind of maneuver this and kind of jerry-rig it to where, you know what I'm saying, where it's just kind of landlord-esque.
We did what we call an R&R last week, which is a removal and reinstallation for hail damage.
Yeah.
And so this installation was done by another company several years ago, and it was a string-style inverter, so it's one big inverter on the side of the house. And it took a little longer than usual because instead of running wire through the attic, which was what we would normally do so everything's hidden, everything was done on the outside of the house. Now, the customer preferred that in this particular case. That's okay. Right? So we had to mimic that. But the problem was the system wasn't operating correctly, and it was because the pipe that was coming down from the roof to the inverter had been completely full of water for probably years. Right?
Oh.
It was full of rust, and so the wires, they can't be wet. That's why they're in conduit, right? It's a type of wire that's not supposed to be in a wet environment. And so my point is, once we were done with that installation, technically they could have left it that way, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't. They fixed it. We didn't have to charge the customer anything extra. It was just part of the reinstallation. And now that system is actually producing more than it did when we got there. And the wires are dry, so there's no fire hazard anymore.
That's what I was thinking of. God dang, man, that house could have gone.
Yeah. And we run into stuff like that, you know, pretty regularly, unfortunately.
I love how the wires are dry is his final bullet.
Yeah. It's kind of a big deal, you know?
But, I mean, think about it. I mean, that's why again, you call Grid Solar, because you don't have to worry about that type of stuff.
Yeah. And the guys just did that on their own. I didn't have to tell them to. They knew the right thing to do.
Man, you guys got to be proud of that type of stuff. Seriously. I mean, and honestly, that's why I'd rather call you, because, listen, not every conversation when it comes to these type of purchases, because they are bigger projects, are going to be, yeah, man, that sounds perfect. Hey, yeah, we'll take care of that just the way you want it. Sometimes you got to have those more in-depth educational conversations to truly know, hey, is this going to work here? Is this going to be what's best for you? And that's why I'm calling you guys, because you wouldn't have said, yeah, you know what? I think we just run those right underneath of there, and you know, don't worry about that standing water. We'll take care of that.
Fine. Yeah.
You know, and as we're getting back to the municipal side of things too, you know, how does is it any different whenever they call you? Do you have to go through any type of meetings at first, or is it kind of just let's get the information out to their council, to that department head, and let's start that way?
So, I mean, we have a meeting with whoever that person that's presenting this to the deciding body, and then Jason did it in the last case. I could do it. either one of us, but then would present to that body as well, because again, we're going to be the ones that are able to educate fully, so that whoever that is making that decision, the school board, the board of directors of your company, whoever, we will present everything to them as well. Again, educate them so that they can make a decision.
And then for maybe just the mom and pop business owner, same thing.
Exact thing. Absolutely. Yep. We've done customers where we did their house and their business at the exact same time.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah,
that's actually really cool. Yeah. And now, just going forward, guys, we've already talked a couple of times about that statewide change to net metering and all of the fun that will, I'm sure, come with that. But you still have a couple of months to really make that phone call, make that decision, and or have the conversation to see if it is the one to make. And you do that by going to Grid Solar LLC.com and just click on that free solar design. And now, is the design part fun?
Yeah, absolutely.
I could only imagine. Do you have any really unique ones that you've come up with, or?
Yeah, it's hard to pick them out. One of my favorite parts is always finding that design that the customer, you can see the light bulb go on and be like, that I like. You know what I'm saying? It's as long as it doesn't affect their production in a huge way, there's a lot of stuff we can do. Turn panels landscape. Let's do 2 rows instead of 3 here. Right. Let's try to put a few on this roof over here. So we always work with people on stuff like that. Absolutely.
Depending on the roof, it can be quite literally like a puzzle.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool. And we do it right there in front of them at the table. That's one of the reasons that we don't really like to do, the Zoom appointments or whatever, because it's a lot easier to do that sitting next to you than sharing a screen or anything like that. And one PSA that I'd like to give is that we're getting, towards that end of the Ameren, and so these door knockers, like everyone can kind of smell that the industry is going to change. It's going to change in a big way starting next year. So everyone's giving this last push. All these door knockers.
I just kicked 2 out of the neighborhood.
Yeah,
not even joking. I did.
And we talked about this when you and I talked.
Blitz, actually,
they don't even have an idea of who's going to install for them. But they'll talk about their installers like they're great. Oh yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah.
We don't actually know who we're going to hand this contract to install it.
Yeah. We don't
but they'll be amazing.
We don't know who has our solicitor permit, but somebody does. All those things. I seriously just had a big fight about that the other day. I get really tired of it. That's why you call Grid Solar.
Yeah.
Because guess what?
We don't do that.
They aren't door knockers. You know who's the door knocker in this case? You are, because you're knocking on Grid Solar's doors going, hey man, we got to get some education going here, and we got to figure out if this is right for us. We'll be talking again in about 2 weeks, I think, right?
Yep.
Oh, there we go. 10:42 is the time. And is there anything else we got to talk about today, guys?
I don't think so.
Just hit the website, fill out the form.
That's where I come in. Grid Solar LLC.com. That's Grid Solar LLC.com. And I'll be hot damn if I am not the smallest guy in this room. I shouldn't have looked up. I could have just hit the button and been feeling good about myself today.
That's okay.
That's what I'll tell myself when I cry tonight.
Since 1993, Sparks Junk Removal is always adapting to the needs of our clients. That is why we now offer weekly trash pickup for selected areas. Plus, we offer driveway-safe rubber-tired dumpster rental. Give us a call today at 618-781-1407 or visit us at sparksjunkremoval.net.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible, covering auto, home, business, and life insurance. Our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
Not sure if you've noticed, but those advertised prices from the other dealers are just a bunch of blah, blah, blah. At Roberts Motors, the advertised price is the price you pay. And that, my friend, is great news for you. Don't fall for their so-called incentives that will leave you banging your head against the wall. Go with Roberts Motors. Prices you can trust and people you will like. That's the Roberts Motors way. And trust me, it's the way to go.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBenderRadio.com.
Welcome back to our daily show. Here's CJ. Welcome back, 1046. Oh, we're almost there, Mary. So it's been a hell of a couple of weeks, and Mary Cordes is the executive director of Hayner Library in studio. Man, Lacey is becoming a true contributor.
Yeah.
These are cool stories.
Yeah, aren't they fun?
They are.
I mean, and it's stuff that you're like, when you're researching it, you're thinking, well, you can't make this up. Like, I mean, history is just,
I still want to know
better
how
than
the hell
fiction.
that kid got 300 firecrackers in his pocket. I have no idea.
You cannot make this stuff up.
So how has everything been at the library?
Really great. We just finished the summer reading program, and I brought some stats with me because I had to write them down
Are
because
you
I knew I
pretty
wouldn't
proud?
remember.
Are you
I am
proud?
so proud. I'm so proud. I'm proud for 2 reasons. I'm proud of the staff because they put on for 6 weeks, there was something every single day for 6 weeks for the kids to do. That's a lot of work. So huge props to Sharon Wyndham, Teresa McDonald, Sam Steichoff, Megan Dees, and Rosa Ricks because they were amazing this summer.
There you go.
Yes, so proud of the staff.
Very proud.
And then I'm proud of our kids because we had 399 kids register for the summer reading program. We had almost one. If we'd had one more, we would have had 400 kids.
Whoa.
So 400 kids signed up for the summer reading program. And there were 22 schools, daycares, and homeschooling families that participated. So in our district, we had 22 of those represented. The kids you can earn different activity badges for things, so we have little different activities for them to do. They earned 1,908 activity badges, and this is just in a 6-week program. They completed 701 reading activities, and they read almost 5,000 books.
What the
So the
heck?
kids in our
You gotta warn me before you hit me with these.
So they read 4,883 books, and that's the kids. And then the teens, which teens are notoriously hard. I mean, you say
I was kind of
summer,
nervous.
First it's summer, and then it's teens, and it's public libraries. So, where we try so hard to have things for teens. We had 37 teens register for the program. They earned 194 badges. Of those badges, 194 of them earned rewards. 24 readers of the 37 completed all of their activities. 2 of them wrote book reviews.
Whoa.
2 teenagers in the summer wrote book reviews for us. 75 completed activities, and they read 150 books. So I'm really proud of our teens. And our
I'm
kids
very
this
proud
summer.
of it. Very proud of that.
Yeah.
But also, one thing I wanted to add on to that, especially with the kids side of things. Sorry, I told you guys earlier it's a rough day. But going back to the kids side of things, all those books, you brought all those families together too.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
another thing because, you
Yeah.
know, even though, the kids are the ones that are reading it, you
Mhm.
still got to have those parents or those guardians
Yep.
that are there being a part of it.
Yep.
So to provide 5,000 opportunities to read a
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, it was, and that's the thing too. The parents, I mean, the parents bring them to the activities. They're the ones checking out the books. They're making sure the books get back on time. They're the one, and they understand the importance of reading and having their kids not have that summer slide. You want the kids to remain engaged in reading so that over the summer they don't lose any of the skills that they learned the year previous. And so parents also are a huge part of this.
Is that a high number for
Yes,
kids?
that's really high. So we're very, very happy about that. So
Good.
yeah, props to everybody involved in that. So
Well-
yeah, we were excited.
That's really cool. Well, and honestly, I just think it's one of those things that I truly believe it's getting back to when I was a kid, because I will never forget at St. Mary's. We always knew when Hayner Library Day was. And now with the digital stuff too, we're going to keep growing.
Yeah. Oh,
we're
yeah,
gonna
for
keep
sure.
growing.
For sure.
Well, and honestly, Mary, going back to the teen side of things too, I mean, to get one is very hard.
Right. 37.
Now, whenever you were able to kind of, did you have some chances to observe some of their activities?
Yeah. So they were, and the kids and the teens love it. We went to the end of the summer reading program party, which is always fun. I went to that. And just watching the families come in, everybody at Moe's Sweet Treats was there. So everybody
She's
had
wonderful.
She's great. Ice cream from Moe's. There were lots of different stations for them. And the families all knew each other. And that was what was really fun because, as a parent, especially if you're home with the kids, these are outlets for parents too. I mean, they
Yes.
meet each other, they make friendships, they make connections. Their kids make friends, especially our homeschooling group.
Yeah.
So it's just a great way all around
Well,
to meet people.
adding on top of that too, for the kids too, there's so many young parents nowadays.
Yes.
And don't know, not even going to touch that, but I mean, the young parent side of thing is the fact that they have a community.
They do.
Because that's the hard. Out of all the parents that I know that are my age, which is so wild for me to say at 25 years old, that's their hardest process, is finding that group, because obviously you can't bring your newborn around the kids that you probably just went to the bar with for 3 years.
Right. Well, and these are all. I think it's really important too to say that everything that we do is free.
Yes.
And so when you're young and you have a young family, money is tight, and so when you get your newsletter, you take a look and you think, I can do all of these things with my kids, and they're all free. Same thing with your teens.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's all these things for teens to do, it's a safe place for them to go. You know that they're going to be cared for. You can drop them off. They can have fun with teens their own age. And you just can feel safe and good about the whole thing. And same way with your kids, you know that there's people you're going to meet. Everything's free. It's just a great way as a family to spend time.
Well, and you hit something there, and I, not to keep driving this home, but it's such a good point to keep hitting on, is the fact that the word safe.
Yes.
I mean, I don't care if you're going to, soccer camp, with the world of cell phones, anything can happen.
Yep.
And to know that, hey, at least I know for these couple of hours that we're all good to go.
Yeah.
That's huge and invaluable.
Yeah. And it's what I love about our teen group is that they are they're the greatest group of kids. I mean, I say kids, but they're the greatest group of teens because they're just very welcoming. They're very accepting. They're very just like, okay, we're all going to hang out for a couple hours
Can I say
together, and they
something?
form
Let me add
friendships.
that.
Yeah.
I was at the library, and I just walking by, and what I thought was really cool is those teenagers, and I can't remember what day, but it was almost like they became volunteers because they were going up and talking to older patrons and being very friendly.
And they were a huge help to us when we have our annual, which has become an annual event, our local author book fair.
Oh, that's cool.
Which we're
When's
going to be
that coming
having. We're in the process of planning it, and so we're hoping it'll be again in December. And we'll have all the information in our fall newsletter for people to sign up. But they came and they helped us. They didn't have to. They volunteered their time to help us take down the tables, clean up afterwards, get everything organized. And I mean, we were able to get it all cleaned up and get out of the way of the people that were shopping in the mall in, less than an hour, because all the teens were like, sure, we'll help. And they came and helped. So
See, that's so cool to me. I mean, but that's what makes it community too.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, as we're talking about all the greatness of the reading program, which I'm so proud of.
Yeah, I was super proud of it.
What's coming down the pipeline that we need to hit on?
So we've got the children's staff and the teen staff are taking a well earned. They're going to be at work. Don't.
They're going to be working.
But they're working to get things planned for the fall, which we have a few things that will be happening in August. But as far as children's programs, we're going to take about a 2-week break in story times and things so that we can get reorganized and get ready for late summer and fall. But we do have some programs coming up for adults. Our children's programming will start back up in August. So we have our story times, our baby lap sit programs, all of our craft times. Those things we'll be gearing back up for those in August. But in our adult programming, we actually have quite a few that are coming up. We have our supplies for summer Fine Amnesty program is still going on. It's going on through the end of the month, so you still have a couple of days. So if you have things that are long overdue, Hayner Library items that are long overdue, and they've gone even to a build status, bring them back with a personal care item that's not expired, that's unused. I've had a couple of things that have been a little expired. So maybe just bring them things that are unexpired.
If you grab something out of your grandma's damn cabinet, it's on site, okay?
So if you could just bring that in, because we want it to be something that people can use.
Well, no, that is funny. That's a tongue in cheek, but
and so bring that in. But you have through the end of the month, and we will waive your fine and waive your bill for something that you can bring in. That's going to help people. It's going to go to the Alton School District to help families that are homeless, students that are homeless, and also Crisis Food Center. So we'll be able to waive your fine for that. If you still have something out. We've got our branching out classes that are going to be happening again in August. And in August, we're talking about property research. So actually along those lines, if anybody out there that's watching or listening, if you have your house abstract, so if you have a house in Alton Godfrey Foster Township and you have the abstract, which is a huge help, it's almost like a blueprint, a record. We would love to have, and what we'll do is we'll make a copy of it right there while you're there and hand it back to you. So you get to keep it, but we get the information, because when people are doing research on even family research, having that property record is huge. And so we would love to have people's abstracts.
I'm going to give you mine because it was so bizarre. My house has been there for a long time. It's not very old, but it's older. And you know what I thought was so cool is when they were digging up for my driveway, the guy called me because they found all this old bricks from walking paths. And they were, all of them. So what I did is I said, don't you throw those suckers away. Turn them into a sidewalk for my house.
That's awesome.
And so I'm curious to know what else was around that in North Alton, because it seemed like that was a pretty big road. I mean, it was huge. It was a lot of bricks.
Yeah, so any kind of information that you have on your house, any kind of house history, we would love to have it. And again, we won't keep it. We'll make a copy.
Like is there any time period?
Nope. As long as the genealogy library is open, just bring it in at 401 State Street.
Sorry, that was my. I meant any time. Like, does your house need to be built before 1980 or?
Nope. Anytime your house. If you have the abstract, because it's such a great piece of information. I would love to have the house abstract. I live in a very old house, and I would love to have the abstract just to see the history kind of the real estate of my house. So we would love to have that. But in August, our branching out classes, August 8th is going to be a discussion called Where They Lived, Property Research. So we're going to talk about how you can do research and how that can help you in your search for your genealogy and your family history.
Did I see something about Pfeifenberger on your sheet, or am I reading the wrong
No, you read it correctly. We have a really great article that was written by Pam DeCourcy, and Pam's writing is...
She does wonderful work.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah, really good stuff.
Anytime Pam says, I have an article for the newsletter, I love reading it because I know it's going to be really well researched. It's going to be really well written, and it's going to have some humor to it, and you're just going to read things and go, I didn't know that. And so I love Pam's articles. So she did an article on the architecture of Lucas Pfeifenberger, see of his work here in Alton, and it's really, really interesting reading.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
I just think
we should bring Pam on.
We should.
If Pam would be willing to come on,
let's work it out, because I would love to do more with some of the folks that do contribute like that, and just kind of give them some love.
I would love that. Do whatever, if I can get anybody that wants to come on with me is welcome to come on.
And even if it's not a Monday or or anything, just whenever they want to.
We can do that for sure.
You're such a great partner.
Yeah, we can do that for sure.
And there was something else that was really on the top of my mind for you today, and I completely forgot about it. Oh, that's driving me crazy. Oh, my God, that's driving me crazy. Oh, my God.
I have these moments more and more and more.
Well, this migraine this morning was what took me out of it. But there was it was something kind of important. But getting back just to the library overall, so I can keep the show moving and no one's going, oh my God, just he's just shoot him, put him down. At this point in the year, this has got to be kind of an interesting point because this is where it shows the true oil machine of the library, because even though, we're a little bit in the lull period, if you take your foot off the gas, you get really far behind.
You do get far behind because we have things getting ready to come up so even though they, like our local author book fair, won't take place until winter, but it's July and I'm already planning it now to get ready for the end of the year, and we have to stay on top of it. And so, even though you may say, oh, well, there's 2 weeks where they're not doing any children's programming. Well, it's because we're getting ready to just, come out with a whole range of things. We need a 2-week break to wrap up summer reading program and start in on the next thing. But we're working on our current newsletter now, and it feels like we just finished one newsletter, and literally, a couple weeks later, we're starting up the next one.
Well, that's why I love our partnership, Mary, because you guys have so much stuff going on. It's so hard. It really is hard to keep track of. I don't know how you guys do it in your office.
There's some days where I think, well, I have to admit, one day I missed our program here.
I just said you were out of town.
Yeah, that's very kind of you, but I was busy doing something else, and you texted me, and I thought, oh my gosh. So but we do have a lot going on.
Well, that's why I just love our part. Now, how are our library cards going?
Good, doing great.
Are we getting more?
Yeah, we are, and people are. There's different ways to sign up now, so you can register online.
Because that's what I keep telling people is go to how do I get a library
just go to that. There's a button at the top of our website at HaynerLibrary.org. You can click on it. You can get a library card, and then you just come and pick it up and bring your ID with you.
The reason I say that is because even though we do have a lot of fun, it's our biggest goal was to make sure that we're driving this mission home, and as long as we're doing that and we're being a good partner, that's what I care about. Because I don't just want anybody to be a sponsor or be a partner. I want it to be for a good cause, and what you guys do is such a wonderful work.
It's great, and we really appreciate the forum and the chance to come and talk, because it is getting the word out, and also just getting out into the community. We're doing so many more community events, to the point now where it's kind of like, oh, we really like to do that. Let me see if we have the staff that's available to do it, because we're going to so many things, which is wonderful. We love getting out and going. We're going to do we just did the back to school fair for the Boys and Girls Club. We're going to, we do the farmers markets, Mississippi Earth Tones Festival. I'm going out and talking to a lot of different groups. So I'm getting ready. I'm going to be going to the St. Ambrose Ladies Group, lots of PEO groups, lots of different events, Rotary clubs, any kind of meetings, because when you're out there and you're talking about things that are going on, people, I didn't know you did that. It's like, yes, this is why I'm here, because there's so many things we do that people don't know about. So
I know, that's what I remember. God love you. Thank you. Okay. I want to do a video at the library where I am a librarian for a day.
Oh.
I want to show the public what you guys do
I love that
each and
idea.
every day.
Yes, let's do it.
I am about as exhausted as I'll get out today.
CJ, this would be amazing, because I would love to show people the life of a book.
Yep.
In the library.
That would be fun.
From start to complete. How do we order materials, all the way to how do they get on the shelves? We can go into tech services. People can see behind the scene. I would love that.
Actually,
that's awesome.
Okay, because I was like, man, how do I add something a little bit more to what Mary and I are doing?
Let's do it.
That's how we do it.
Let's do it.
I'm excited now.
Yeah, I'll have to clean my office out.
So you stay tuned for that. HaynerLibrary.org. Get your library card. But what was the big call to action today?
Just get your library card, honestly.
I forgot.
We do have a program this Friday night that I would love people to come out to. It's at Jacoby Arts Center, and it's NGK Band. Yeah. Let the Good Times Roll. And it is just a night. It's 7:00 on a Friday night. We're doing something a little different. We're doing one of our monthly entertainment programs. Normally we do them on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. We decided to do it on a Friday night this time. 7:00, Jacoby Arts Center, NGK Band. you can come and dance.
Is this the last one at Jacoby?
It is our last one at Jacoby for now until we figure out
What's
if we
going
can
on?
partner with them
So
later
go out
on.
with a banger then and have some fun because these guys can play and they're passionate.
They are so good.
Oh my God! But
So
I
good.
love them, Mary, because these folks, they were at the baseball game one day and it was 104 degrees outside, so no one was. It was too hot. You know what those guys did? They played for the two teams. They set up their equipment and literally played just because they love it, and they're good.
They're good. They're very, very good. And it's just a nice night out, you know? I mean, that's one of the things the library does is we not only do we educate, but we entertain, you know, and we entertain in different ways. I love reading a book. That's entertaining to me. But some people's thing is music, and we want to bring you to the library. And the whole goal is when people walk in the front door, they think they're coming to a music concert, and they are, but we have the table set up, and they're like seeing everything else that we do and all the programs. And people that have come in to listen to music, those people have ended up getting library cards. They've ended up signing up for our apps. They've ended up coming to other programs. They've become library users by coming to our programs. So
That's so cool.
Yeah,
By the way, I just talked to Warren today.
Oh, did you?
Wonderful.
The code talk, wasn't that great?
We heard it was so highly attended.
We had a packed house. We had 120 people.
It's
So,
incredible.
Yes.
Well, we had Warren and Mayor Morrow on today, so if you get a chance, RiverBender.com /daily show. I'm out of time. It's 11:05. See you tomorrow. That's all I can say. I am literally limping and crawling to the door. My migraine is still lingering, but I got to see Mary Cordes today, so that made for a great Monday. On that note, just try your best to stay out of jail.